The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Man, oh man. Some Quinn Hughes hate, and Thatcher Demko, a.k.a. Mr. Vezina, is back in the lineup. And Miller's kind of back too. Sort of. More on that in a couple of minutes. Let's do this. Locked on Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The boys are back together, and we're back together here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it is your Canucks every damn day. Part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world. And for our show, again, we're nothing without you. And we're also not here without those sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by Kyle's Brown Banana. What? Unbelievable, man. No, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go make every moment more with FanDuel. Again, if you're a new customer, you bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. You know, Kyle, you always call me the darkest guy on the program, and I'm not going to lie. I did not expect JT Miller to return to the ice this soon, and not a lot of precedence for a guy like this to leave an organization. But typically, when guys have gone on indefinite leaves for personal reasons, they're not back less than a month later. So, again, that is the good news for Canucks today. Not only JT Miller coming back, Thatcher Demko returned to the net as well. Things looking up for your Vancouver Canucks, and maybe it's about damn time, because the record against playoff teams, it's pretty subpar. Let's get into Miller. Let's get into Demko. Let's get into the lineup. A little bit of trade talk, even perhaps. Lots to get into here on Locked On Canucks. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host. He's got my favorite brown banana of all time, Kyle Bowen. How's it going, brother?
Man, oh man. JT Miller back skating with the Canucks. Not playing tonight against the Blues. Most likely playing on Thursday against the Florida Panthers. But Thatcher Demko, yes, starting tonight. And it's cool, man. It's exciting. I didn't know how excited I would be for, again, Demko to return after 230 days, but it means a lot, right? And I feel as if he's in line to prove a lot of people wrong. And we touched on this yesterday, but man, oh man, Trevor, that internal competition that UFA Lankinen has already brought and is going to continue to bring, is going to bring out the best in Thatcher Demko, which helps the Canucks get closer and closer to being the best version of themselves as well. And I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked for some consistency. And let's be honest and let's be real. On the ice, the process has to be a lot better. But I mean, realistically speaking, if Lankinen and Demko are starting every game for the Vancouver Canucks moving forward, and if Demko's back, like, the wins are going to be a way more consistent thing for the Vancouver Canucks. I just believe in that, bro.
Look, the Canucks right now, again, they've ridden the back of some horrendous, and they're in the bottom half of the league. I mean, again, Lankinen, we've seen it. This guy's bailed the team out on a number of occasions, but they could sorely use a guy like Demko back in there. And again, even a Demko that is half healthy, let's put it. I'm not saying he's half healthy, but let's just theoretically speaking, he's going to be better than what Archer Shilovs has given you.
Yeah. Again, this whole thing about, maybe Demko's like 90%. I think he's 110%. I think Demko is like better than ever. Like something just tells me that he is just in line to have his best season ever. And again, that has a lot to do with Kevin Lankinen as well. Like, he's going to get a great amount of rest. I think this team's learned their lesson, and Demko is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he's the number one come April. Like, he's so motivated. He's motivated. And also, before we continue, Forbert is back in the lineup today ahead of Darnay. So just a lot of changes. And I don't know if there's any research that's in front of you, Trevor. Probably not, considering you work the day job and you're trying to bring home the bacon, right? But I wonder what other goaltenders have returned from such a long, a disappearance, I guess, from their crease, and how they've done right when they got in. I think the closest example could be Vasilevsky when he missed a ton of time. I think that would have been last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I know it took him a long time to warm up, but he's back. He's back. He's playing pretty good right now, and I hope that Demko can do so sooner because again, I think the Canucks kind of need they need that 1-2 punch being extra strong in order for this team to find consistency on this runway towards the playoffs. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, Vasilevskiy returned to the net last year for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they almost made the playoffs in spite of his goaltending. I mean, he was very average last season, right? But all goaltenders go through it, even the best in the world. And it's funny, the name that popped into my head first and foremost was Thomas Vokoun. Because in the summer, we were doing some research on players with blood clots and how long they were out for and how they played amongst their return. And Thomas Vokoun was a guy who missed a chunk of time due to blood clots. And when he returned, he was as good as ever. I mean, Thomas Vokoun, aside from maybe his early days in the NHL, he never had a save percentage below 9 since the lockout, and which is crazy because that's when scoring upticked. Never had a save percentage below 916 in a single season. And one of those seasons in which he had blood clots. So, I mean, that's the example that came to my head first and foremost. That's going back in the time machine a little bit. But at the end, they were talking about blood clots versus a knee for a goaltender that you have to bend and move around all game long. So, again, I'm very curious to see what Demko is going to look like. But I think the mentality, and Kyle, we've talked about it before, every Dayers know, don't overwork this guy. Like, have him and be in a timeshare with Lankin and have him compete for starts, right? Much like I said before early this season about how the power play units should compete with each other. Like, let's go like 1A, 1B. Of course, the Canucks did not do that, but again, have your top dogs compete with each other, have some internal competition, and I think you're going to get the most out of some guys. And I think with Thatcher Demko and Kevin Lankinen, it's easy just to default back to Demko's back, Demko's healthy, he's our guy, let him have the net. But I think Kevin Lankinen's at least earned a timeshare right now, which is beneficial for the Canucks goaltending situation. I mean, we saw Thatcher Demko last season. I mean, the numbers he put up were just unreal. Like, I'm looking at some of his stats from last season, a 918 save percentage in a year where the average save percentage was 903. Quality start percentage of almost 65%. The average NHL goalie is closer to 50%. Again, he's just so far above average when he's on his game. But those numbers start to tail off when you overwork the guy. And again, right now, the Canucks don't have the offense and the goal scoring to mask some of these goaltending issues like they did early last season when Demko was really on his game. So the Canucks got to take the slower with Demko. I'm really curious to see how it goes. And I think Kyle, in general, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like crunch time for Patrick Allvin a bit too. And is this, where you kind of talk about December, January, February being maybe the doldrums of the NHL season, but this is a really important stretch coming up here for the Vancouver Canucks. You've had Patrick Allvin basically make a declaration, according to reports, that they want to see what the team looks like with Miller, Demko, and Forbort before they go out and hit the trade market. So let's be dramatic for a second. Is this the most important December for the Canucks of all time?
All time. No, but it's huge. It really will set the tone for if this team is worthy of being an early buyer, right? Because they haven't really proven that consistently this season. There hasn't been a 10-game stretch, a 7-game stretch, that be it, where they've been dominant in games. Like, they've squeaked out wins, they've been gritty, but they are missing some of that swagger, some of that confidence. And again, Forbort, Miller, Demko, all back in the lineup this week. I know Hronek still, but I feel as if they know what they have in Hronek, and they can theoretically close their eyes and, plug and play a guy like that and insert, any sort of philosophy they would have about their team, knowing what Hronek can bring day in and day out, especially with Quinn Hughes. But at the end of the day, I mean, I have my doubts, though. I'm not going to lie. I have my doubts that the Canucks in December are going to miraculously become a dominant puck possession, play driving team. Straight up. I think what we may be able to see in December when it comes to the great for the Vancouver Canucks is a ton of wins, but I think that comes off the shoulders of Lankinen, a well-rested Lankinen, that is, and Thatcher Demko returning to form, and Quinn Hughes doing extraordinary things. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's going to take. Is it going to be the holiday break for this team to be more jolly, to have more swagger, to have more confidence with the puck? I don't know. But until then, I think goaltending and Quinn Hughes is going to be the thing that picks up 2 points more often than not, game in and game out, for your Vancouver Canucks. And I don't know, again, like people may have their doubts, and maybe we have, again, as a fan base that's been winning hockey games again for like 15 or 16 months, maybe we're getting way too ahead of ourselves when it comes to the standard we have for this team. 5-on-5 within the first 60 minutes of a game. Like, we want this team to dominate and all this stuff. And it's just not good enough the way they're playing. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to tell myself this too, myself this as well. And it's going to be hard. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? Maybe we get outshot by the St. Louis Blues and I, start walking over to the bridge early, like, I don't know. Like, I'm emotional. I'm really, really emotional. I'm not going to lie. But I still am super, 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 super confident that this team will find its footing off the backs of Demko and Lankinen. Straight up. But if they don't get really good goaltending, which I doubt, this team's in trouble. Like, how are they going to find in December? December is the hardest time to find any sort of momentum. Like, real talk, it's the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are kind of laid back around this time. You don't really learn in December. You kind of coast. It's human nature.
Yeah, exactly. And you hope the Canucks can find that intensity somehow, because as David W brings up in the comments right now, it's a big month for the Canucks because all but 3 of their games are on home ice, and home ice has not been good to the Vancouver Canucks so far this season. But maybe I'll mention this again as we head into break, and I mentioned it earlier this week. Thatcher Demko has been the home ice king for your Vancouver Canucks, rocking over a .920 save percentage, I believe it was, on home ice, when he's closer to about .905 on the road. So Thatcher Demko has been nothing but lights out for the most part at Rogers Arena. And I think this is obviously a good spot for him to get back in tonight against the St. Louis Blues team, who, of course, they're an NHL team. They have some weapons. Of course, they're playing behind this Canucks defense, who has been leaky of late. So he should get a test, but it's not the toughest test in the world. And he's at a place in home ice where he's had a lot of success in the past. Kyle, let's cut to break quickly here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. I want to talk about the value of Demko and where he might stack up among NHL goaltenders. Talk about the returns for Demko and Miller. What's more exciting to you? And I want to talk a bit about the Canucks against playoff teams as well. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after we shout out our friends over at Kyle's Brown Banana Shop. PrizePicks. All right, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks. The best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money, baby. That's cash money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. Here's why you need to get started today. You can win up to what? It's changed. You can win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. No need to win. The $50 is guaranteed, baby. All right. And on PrizePicks, I'm eyeing the board. I'm looking at Jack Hughes for more than 4 shots on goal, or Artemi Panarin for more than 1 assist. It's so simple to make picks and have fun with your friends while potentially cashing out fast. So download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. $50 instantly. Faster than you can pop a what? PrizePicks, it's time to run your game.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs at the Don't Doze Art Lab, getting ready for that game tonight against the St. Louis Blues. Thatcher Demko making his long-awaited return to the crease. And again, I feel as if I've been underestimating this return, right? Because Kevin Lankinen has been the Demko replacement, straight up. I know he's not at .916 with the save percentage, but he's been so damn good all season long. It feels like Demko's been actually playing these games, right? But all in all, we have one of the best players in hockey returning to the Canucks, and Miller's about to return too, and the Canucks look to be stacked once again. It's exciting. It's exciting. Now, I do want to read this comment from Other Nuckers. It's making me think because, as David was saying, as Trevor's saying too, like, maybe we should be overanalyzing here, when it comes to the next couple of games coming up for your Vancouver Canucks. Mother Nucker, straight from Alabama, Connecticut, Arkansas, Wisconsin, Nebraska. It's saying, if we don't come out on fire tonight, I'll be concerned. If Demko can't get the boys, what will? J's or HJs? I don't know what that is. I know Trevor knows because you guys are dirty. But talk about that, Trevor. Again, for me personally, I'm not playing those games. I'm not in the locker room. I'm just a Findu, okay? But from the outside, I feel as if Kevin Lankinen has provided this team so much stability. That being said, Demko's back in the crease. What type of swagger, what type of confidence, what type of mojo do you feel as if Brock Besser and the boys can get just from that alone?
I mean, well, we even heard Rick Tocchet say it earlier this week, right? That Thatcher Demko, it's more than just the player returning to the net. It's the locker room presence he brings. And he talked about Demko being a big leader on that locker room, like even just having him on the bench. Rick Tocchet said makes a big difference for this Vancouver Canucks team. And look, it's a Vancouver Canucks team that's gone through some turmoil this season, right? Like, let's not sugarcoat it. They've been missing guys. They've been missing star players. Thatcher Demko being gone a big part of it. And then JT Miller, of course, missing time as well due to his personal reasons absence. So there's been a lot going on for the Vancouver Canucks. Things have been chaotic. They've been confusing. They still have an okay record, but the underlying data points to a team that is very, very mid right now. And again, you're hoping that, under Demko, Miller, they can get a bit of a bounce. And again, I just think this is a really important stretch for the Canucks. I know, again, measuring December's compared to past years is always a bit of a fool's errand. I mean, I think of the Boudreau year, how was it important that Boudreau came back and saved the Canucks? I think we all thought we were out of the dance by that point, but it's just this is an important time for this team because Patrick Allvin has been one of the busiest general managers in the NHL since he took over the Canucks. And Kyle, you mentioned it about a week or two ago. You don't think that the Canucks have earned the right for Patrick Allvin to make that move right now?
No way.
And we kind of went back and forth on that, but if your logic is right, the Canucks really got to prove something here with Demko and Miller coming back that they deserve to have some additions made to this team because you know it, I know it, the Locked On listeners know it. This team is not winning a Stanley Cup with this blue line.
Ooh, even with Quinn Hughes. Okay, can we talk about Quinn Hughes though? Again, can we just go on a little rant here? Okay, the dude from ESPN, the Wiz, right? Wisniewski. What's his name? Can you say his name?
Wishney.
Wisniewski, the writer, okay? Yeah. That dude, a funny guy. I've been following him for like a decade and a half, for real. Kudos for all the work he does with the NHL. But he wrote an article showcasing his award winners so far this season. And it wasn't just him making the picks. It was a collection of voters. And, before I go on the tangent, Wisniewski, the Wizard, ESPN guy, he actually would pick Quinn Hughes to win the Norris. That being said, there was a voter on there that tried to explain why Cale Makar was that guy. And, he brought up the whole matchup scenario and how Cale Makar is, the matchup guy and Quinn Hughes isn't. And based on Cale Makar also walking away with the point scoring lead as being a defenseman, he's the easy choice for the Norris Trophy win. And it's like, oh God, here we go again. There's some people, and the Canucks have not been a really exciting team this year. I know. And all in all, they're not being watched again. Okay. They're not being watched. There's people in the East not paying attention to Pacific Standard Time hockey games. They're okay with watching the Avalanche games because I think they play a couple hours earlier than we do. And they're only watching Cale Makar, and they're not seeing the pure dominance that Quinn Hughes is displaying, shift in and shift out with the Vancouver Canucks. And Trevor, I have I think I got two different. Let me pull out this one first. Okay, right here. Okay, so I have some stats. Okay, Trevor Beggs is gonna have to do all the research for me, or not the research, but do all the analyzing for me. But there's only one Norris Trophy winner this year, and it's Quinn Hughes. It's actually so easy to pick Quinn Hughes this year. Now, again, we stay up on the Pacific Standard Time to watch these games. Quinn Hughes is just so dominant on a team that is struggling right now. Okay, it's goaltending and Quinn Hughes, and that is why we're picking up points, and Connor Garland every now and then. All in all, though, can you just read this stat first, and then we'll go to the Cale Makar one, okay? Go through this. Josh Elliott-Wolf did the homework here. Shout out to Sportsnet. Trevor, go ahead.
Yeah, so Josh Elliott-Wolf from Sportsnet pointing this out when Hughes is on the ice without Miller and Pettersson, which has been 229 minutes this season. His shot attempt differential is almost 60%, high danger chance differential, 58% for expected goals, 15 goals. The Canucks have scored 15 goals when Hughes is on the ice without Miller and Pettersson, and only 6 goals against. I mean, look, Hughes has been incredibly dominant, no matter
and that's without Pettersson and Miller. That's crazy. That's crazy. Sorry to cut you off. You're lagging a bit. Now read this and this is involving Makar stats without McKinnon on the ice, I think.
Yep. So when Makar is on the ice without McKinnon, all his numbers are in the tank. Shot attempt differential 42%, high danger chances at 39%, 42% expected goals, and he has been on the ice for 5 goals, 4 goals against. So, I mean, Makar, when he's on the ice without McKinnon, kind of looks like the Canucks, honestly, a lot of the time, where they have efficiency in terms of the way they score, but they usually get outshot and outchanced.
Dude, come on. Like the fact that, again, without Pettersson and Miller on the ice, Quinn Hughes has been on the ice for 15 goals, 4 and 6 against. And then you look at what Makar's doing without McKinnon. It's like, dude, come on. It's the obvious choice. Quinn Hughes is playing way better than Cale Makar right now. Again, I said it yesterday. He's reminding me of LeBron James, okay, from 2016. LeBron James. Like Quinn Hughes is dominating this year. Bro, if he's not hitting a couple posts, if the power play is a lot better this year, if Pettersson's a lot better, I guarantee Quinn Hughes would have 10 more points. If Miller's playing every game, Quinn Hughes would have 10 more points. Like he's been so good. And for a writer not a writer, but for a voter on this ESPN article to say that Cale Makar is walking away with the point scoring lead as a defenseman when Quinn Hughes is averaging more points per game this season, it's a effing joke, man. Like
who is this writer? Who is this writer?
I don't know who it is, but again, I think it's such a disservice to the game of hockey when there's a lot of people in the Eastern Conference not staying up to watch Canucks games. Like, you know what you got to do? You got to watch every Oilers game and you got to watch every Canucks game, because in those two games that are played on, Pacific Standard Time or even Mountain Standard Time a little later in the East, again, you're getting paid to cover the NHL. You have to be doing the most, aka watching 2 or 3 of the best 5 players in hockey play game in and game out. Like there's no excuses if you're covering the game, especially on a national level. So that just goes to show you the state of the game right now, straight up. Like, how do you expect the game to grow when there's just false BS being portrayed on ESPN? Like, people are actually saying Cale Makar is way better than Quinn Hughes this year when it's pretty obvious it's very, very close, or Quinn Hughes is just the better guy right now.
You know what? There's not a lot of West Coast bias out there in North America in the hockey world, and that's why the world needs Locked On Canucks, okay? The home of the West Coast bias, okay? Shout out to the Don't Doze Art Lab where Kyle's recording right now, where I was on Friday night, man. They are supplying the West Coast bias, and we'll continue to supply the West Coast bias here on Locked On Canucks. Got some news and notes we want to get to as we wrap up the show. A little bit on Demko and in terms of where he ranks among salary with goaltenders. JT Miller, when is he expected to be back in the lineup? And I want to talk a bit about Canucks against playoff teams this season. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every freaking day. We'll be back after showing out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And you can also bet in the NHL there too, baby, okay? And whether you're betting NFL, NHL, whatever tickles that pickle of yours, right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on sports, all in one place, okay? So you get a hunch in the middle of the game. Go check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And right now, the Canucks are clearly favorites in tonight's game over the St. Louis Blues. They are plus 146 to win by more than a goal. Again, that bet wasn't looking good against the Blue Jackets, but it ended up coming through. So if you bet $10, you would win $24.60 on FanDuel for the Canucks to again win by more than a goal. Again, lots of other good bets on FanDuel as well. Got a little six-leg same game parlay for the Canucks right now. Under 5.5 goals. Quinn Hughes with the point, Pettersson with the point, Brock Best with the point, Garland with the point, DeBrusk with the point. That $10 bet on that would give you $276. Wow. So whether you're betting on the parlays, the game, whatever it is, go check out FanDuel now. Again, bet $150, bet $5 to win $150 if you win that $5 bet, and that's on FanDuel.com.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouvers Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. And yeah, man, JT Miller back on the ice today, skating with the boys. Connor Garland had a lot of nice things to say about him. I'll read out the quote, and this comes from Ian McIntyre, right? Who I guess was talking to Garland. He said, again, Garland said this, people look at what we make, but we also go through the same worries as everyone else. I've gone through stuff, and people have gone through stuff on our team that doesn't become public. This one became public. JT's got a great support system here. I got no doubt in my mind on Thursday. Like Miller's gonna get the loudest ovation from the real Canucks fans out here, straight up. And I still can't believe it, man. I got to get over it, Trevor. Maybe you got to punch me in the face so I just like get over it. But I'm still a little emotional about how some of the people out here in the West Coast treated JT Miller over the last 2 weeks based on some BS reports. And just I don't know, it just goes to show you that some of us like we need to go spend some time with our families, man, for real. Like honestly, man. Like we've only been winning hockey games for a year and a half, and boom, bam, just like that. A guy goes on personal leave. One person from New York writes an article, and before you know it, there's people throwing Miller under the bus, and it's like, dude, we are so ungrateful. Real talk.
Yeah, you know what? That's why you got to come to the house of positivity, the home of positivity here, Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. And Kyle, I wanted to pose this question to you because I think I know where I stand. And right now, between Miller and between Demko, who's returning you more excited for?
Damn, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm going to say Demko, man. I'm going to say Demko based on, again, me kind of underestimating the significance of his return for the last couple of weeks based on, again, us just already getting really good goaltending. But again, I also am just so excited to see the Canucks for the next 50 games, right? Just shell out Lankinen and Demko, because I believe both those guys have a chance to do something very Ullmark and Swayman-like. And I mean, I don't want the Canucks to have all their holes covered up by goaltending, but I think right now for us to pick up points, that's going to have to be the case. So I like wins, baby, and these are going to help us win a lot of games, especially Thatcher Demko. And I don't have a doubt, man. I think we're going to see it tonight that this dude, after making 27 saves and allowing 1 goal, is back. Yes, back as being one of the best in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's no wrong answer either way. I will say I'm more excited for the return of JT Miller, and I think that's partly just because with Demko, we've kind of known he's been returning for some time now. It's like he's close. Okay, now he's finally back. But JT Miller, I honestly thought this guy was going to be out for a lot longer than he actually is. So I'm stoked that he's back. I'm stoked that it's not as long as we initially thought. And then just one love to the guy, man. I can't wait to hear the chants for both Demko and Miller when they return to this lineup. And with Miller right now, again, it looks like he will practice in full with the team tomorrow and targeting a return on Saturday against the Boston Bruins. So,
what? Not Thursday?
I expect on Saturday against the Boston Bruins. I believe they play another team on Thursday, but it looks like Saturday is the day that they're targeting for a Miller return. He could return Thursday, but just reports from this morning look like it's going to be Saturday.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense
Yeah.
too. Take your time. Take your time. How many games would that be if he does come back on Saturday?
How many games have you missed?
Yeah.
10, I think, right? 11, right? 1 home game, 6 road games, another 4 at home.
Okay, cool.
10
So
or 11. So
okay.
Again, I thought this guy was going to be out a couple months. Just again, when guys were out with personal issues, sometimes it's NHLPA player assistance program. Sometimes it's unannounced, but it tends not to be a short layoff. So again, really stoked for Miller, and again, just wish the guy all the best, and hopefully he comes back, as Alvin said, a better person, a stronger person, a good teammate. And again, hopefully, the Canucks go through this controversy early enough in the season and still end up as a cup contender. Because Kyle, I've said it time and time again, I still worry about this team as an actual contender.
Wow,
I don't know if I want to end off with the show on a negative note.
You're stressing, dude. Relax, man. It's all good, bro. Like Trevor, you know what? I know I stress out more than you. Honestly, you hung out with me on Friday. I was taking that L to the Columbus Blue Jackets because it looked like we were about to lose for the first 40 minutes. Like I was taking that hard. Okay, like really hard. I was emotional. I was down. Trevor was so optimistic. And again, even after the Tampa Bay Lightning game, I'm down. I know I get really emotional, but I'm just looking at things and I just don't see, I don't see a reason to panic completely yet. Like wait till like game 50 or game 60. If they're still getting like led completely by their goaltending, then it's like, okay, this team's not winning the cup. But I don't know. I feel as if there's still time for this team to round out their game and figure things out all while getting points. Like, Begsy, just relax. But go ahead, go on your little tangent if you want to depress the people.
I don't really want to depress the people, to be honest. But Locked On Canucks, we got to be honest people here, honest people. So I'll bring this up. I'll bring this up quickly, and then we'll try to wrap it up on a positive note. But this came up from a Canucks Army today. A lot of numbers, but for those on the podcast side, really the Canucks among playoff teams in terms of points, goals for, goals against, high danger chances, shots on goal, shots against, save percentage. Like they are no higher than 10th among 16 playoff teams in every single category. So to me, across the board, this team doesn't shoot the puck enough. They don't generate enough chances. They've been lucky with some of their shooting efficiency. They've been lucky that Kevin Langdon's bailed them out in some games. But again, hopefully, as Patrick Levine and the team have alluded to, hopefully it is a different team, or at least a better team with Demko, with Miller back in the lineup. Because right now, this is a flawed team that does give me concern when they face against playoff teams. And their record against playoff teams this season is 3-5-2, which isn't horrid. But it's not great either, considering that, again, we thought of the Canucks as Stanley Cup contenders heading into the season. But, the season is long. And again, look at the St. Louis Blues team. I know this example gets used way too much, but they're at the bottom of the standings in December of 2018. They go on to win the Stanley Cup in the 2019 calendar year. This Canucks team is still in the playoff spot despite everything they've gone through. I still think there is a lot of runway for this team to be a lot better. I think there's good forward depth. I think there's still work to be done in the defense, but Adam Foote showed that he could get this blue line whipped up into shape last season. And of course, there's still the chance of a trade as well. So I'm still optimistic about this Canucks team, but I'm just saying what we've seen through the first third of the season isn't really good enough for this team's Stanley Cup contender.
Wow, dude, I feel bad for your children. Straight up, man. It's the holidays, man. All in all, though, again, like you brought the St. Louis reference. I brought up Florida from 2 years ago. They were probably a middling team. They were probably worse than us, and they made the Stanley Cup Finals. They made the playoffs on the last day of the season. I mean, I know the Oilers had some, I would say decent underlining numbers, even though they were struggling early on last year. They were just getting horrible goaltending, but boom, they were the worst team in the league, and they made the Stanley Cup Finals. There's a lot of room still, and there's still a lot of talent here, and we didn't even mention the inconsistencies in Pettersson and Besser over the last 3 games and 4 games. That line 5-on-5 has just been so bad. They need to pick it up more consistent. There's so many pieces on this team that just have to be better game in and game out. And even I would throw Miller in that mix, because before Miller left for personal reasons, I don't know why he was inconsistent. Maybe what was happening had a lot to do with it, but let's throw that out the window right now. He was struggling game in and game out. Real talk, he was inconsistent. So everyone outside of the goaltending, Kiefer Sherwood and Connor Garland and Quinn Hughes, they got to be better. But on that note, let's leave it at this. Again, Quinn Hughes is one of the best players in hockey right now. He's doing historic things right now. This dude is the captain of your team, and he's behind that wall that is the goaltending for the Vancouver Canucks. I just know the Canucks are going to be fine if that continues to be the case. Quinn Hughes right now is that damn good, must-see TV. And, if you're at the holiday table this year with your family, and, they're like, oh, yeah, how are the Canucks doing? I haven't watched too much since April and May. Last getting busy with work, but, the playoffs were excited, and I was right back into it. Just tell them to shut up and start watching games right now, because you don't want to miss Quinn Hughes play hockey games again right now. Anyways, I got to go. Trevor Beggs got to go. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. One love to you and you and you and you. I'll be on after the game. You know the deal. Hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. It's Christmas. I'm balding. Trevor's got kids, and Trevor's the Grinch right now, too. Probably not getting his kids any Christmas gifts based on the negativity that I heard from this guy's mouth over the last 4 minutes. Anyways, hit the like button. It goes a long way. Beggsy, sign us out.
Well, the only thing I got to say before we get out of here is, Kyle, since we took over Locked On Canucks on March 1st of 2023, the Canucks have a point percentage of .658. They have been the 6th best team in the NHL after a decade of sucking since we took over Locked On Canucks. So as long as you and I are at the helm here at Locked On Canucks with the people and this energy that we got here, we're going to be just fine. Quinn Hughes, Elise Pettersson, JT Miller, Thatcher Demko are going to be just fine. So shout out to you for listening, whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener or a first-time listener. We love each and every one of you. Kyle will be back after the game. Maybe I'll be back shirtless if we win after the game. And of course, we'll be back on Hum Day tomorrow to talk more about your Vancouver Canucks. Miller speaking to the media tomorrow as well. I'm sure we'll try to touch on that. But regardless, if you like what we're doing, make sure you go like and subscribe, baby, on YouTube and on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That sexy mother. Oh, it's Kyle Bowen. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.